Hello, I'm Emmanuel Brunet-Jailly. I'm the instructor for EUS 300 or POLI 379. And with this video clip, I want to introduce you to the new EUS 300 POLI 79. In the past, this course has been in a way criticized because it overlapped too much with some other offerings in different departments, some of which are in political science, but others across campus. So we've decided collectively at UVic to, in a way, change some of the approach that we had into this course. It's still a course about European integration, and it's still a course about the policies, the politics, the economics, the law, and the governance. But it looks at these different themes, policies, politics, the law, economics, and governance of the European Union from the perspective of crises, and how the EU integration process, in a way, has learned but also benefits in some instances from crises. The course still requires you to take a test, a final exam, a research paper, but the way it is taught only overlaps about 10 to 15% with courses that really focus just on the institutions. In other words, it's a very interesting course for political science and public policy students, but it's also very interesting for students who come from the humanities, other social science disciplines, and just want to understand what the EU, how the EU works and what the EU does when it's faced with important crises. So the different crises that we've decided to focus on are, I think, very, very interesting today. We've decided that we would focus nearly 2/3 of the time to look at a number of important recent major crises that have affected the European Union. One is, for instance, the 2008 economic crisis. You all heard about the economic crisis because it affected Canada, but it also affected European Union member states, and the outcome for the EU is a banking union. So we will look at that crisis from the perspective of the reconstruction of the European market, but also the appearance of a union around the banking sector. We will also look at something you've probably heard about, which is the migration crisis, when 1.2 million people decided to walk into the EU, and how it's affected the relationship the EU has within its member states, but also with peripheral states such as Turkey, Libya, Morocco, and so on and so forth. So both these crises are important and obviously very interesting. A third crisis that you've heard about is the Brexit. So it's Britain wanted to leave the EU, and how is that going to affect the EU? Is this the end of the European Union? Some people have asked. Well, in this class you would learn what are the pros and the cons of the Brexit and how it's affecting basically the construction and the European integration. And we will also look at specific policies of the European Union that are really interesting from the perspective of managing and, in a way, digesting these different crises. One is the European regional policies, which is basically a mechanism that allows Brussels to redistribute funds across all the member states, and there are 240 plus regions, so the lower state level, right? In Canada, it would be below the provincial level. And then also the relationship between the center, Brussels, and the member states with their periphery. So it's, in a way, it's the form of diplomacy, a relationship with neighborhood countries. And so we'll look at neighborhood countries and neighborhood policies as a way to negotiate both the border and migration policies, both the border and the migration crisis, but also accommodation with states like the UK who want to break away from the UK, or states who have never really joined in completely, like Switzerland, Iceland, Norway, and so on and so forth. So I hope you'll find that course really interesting, and that we'll get great feedback from the course next April. It's offered from January this year until April of 2018. Welcome to the course. I hope to see you there.